Hello and welcome to Rare Cuts Media Society, the podcast that looks at hidden media gems and has about one artery that is not clogged between the four of us. With your host, as always, I'm Andrew Jagoda, and with me we've got Rob Lachik. How are you today, Rob?
Oh, I'm trying to survive the meat sweats, and I think there's some sauce coming out, some barbecue sauce into the pores, so be careful when you get too close to me.
And Eric Hathorn, how are you?
Pretty good. The road has been treating us well, especially with, as you mentioned, all of that barbecue.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got Mike Ross. How are you today, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good because I paced myself well on this trip. Again, just like last episode, we are coming to you from Missouri. Today, we are all gathered together in the same room again in Hannibal, Missouri, which, if you don't know what Hannibal is, it is the boyhood home of Mark Twain. And we've been having a great time here. We've been going to all the different barbecue places around Kansas City, Missouri. I think we all have a favorite. I'm going to just say that mine was Gates. Everyone else, what's your favorite before we get into this episode?
I'm going to go with the Jack Stack. That was my favorite. You could have the same favorite as me.
I think Jack Stack.
Yeah, I'm with you, the Jack Stack.
Okay, I got to call this out, though, real quick, because Mike's the only one who didn't pick Jack Stack. And what did you order at Jack Stack?
At Jack Stack, I got the long end ribs.
Not a Jack Stack.
Not a Jack
Jack Stack. Okay. Sorry, I got confused. Gates, I got the long end ribs. What did you guys get at Gates?
Gates, we got the
We got the Pitmaster.
we got
It was a dinner for four.
No, that's
no,
Jack.
Jack-
No,
Now you're confused.
stuff.
So we got a sandwich.
You got a sandwich.
Brisket, or like a beef brisket
You didn't
sandwich.
get the ribs. And to be fair then and balanced,
Oh.
at Jack Stack, I got the barbecue trout, which was excellent.
And we got the ribs.
We got the ribs.
So
what did your wife say?
Wins.
My wife just responded, weird.
Right she was.
But yeah, maybe ribs just wins.
Ribs just wins. Ribs?
Yeah.
Burn ends? No. Am I the only one?
That was good.
They were good.
Yeah.
And just because I know he's dying to keep up with his record from last time, what did we do today, Eric?
Well, right between Kansas City and Hannibal, Missouri, right smack dab in the middle, is the Walt Disney Childhood Home Museum. And like the whole town is like Walt Disney-fied. So we visited Marceline, Missouri, and saw all the cool Disney stuff there.
How long we get?
Neat.
How long?
We are at 3 minutes if I don't cut anything.
3 minutes. Shameful.
So that was good.
So yeah, we've been having a good trip. And we kind of want to talk about where we're going forward with our podcast. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rob L.
So we are going to try out a little something here. It'll pan out a little bit more in future podcasts, but we're going to do a little scoring of each other, as this podcast is a little different, especially today. We're each of us picking one piece of media to look at. And we actually all listen to them together during this road trip. How we're going to do a little scoring of each other's picks. And we're going to do the scoring on 3 different categories. One of them being rarity. We are the Rare Cuts Media Society podcast, so makes sense there. We do set a theme, as we have over the last number of podcasts. How well does it match the theme? And then overall enjoyment. How much did you personally enjoy this piece of media? We will score each of these from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. We will give a cumulative score for each piece of media based on the other 3's scores, because you will not rate your own, because you just cheat and put 5 for all.
Right?
No, I will.
So then the top score from everyone's, after we look at all 4 pieces of media, will win the competition. And we will plan on using who wins these competitions to select further themes in the podcasts. Anything I missed, gentlemen, on how you'd like to score, how we should score?
That sounds pretty good.
Beautiful.
I think so. So I think we got to talk about what our theme is. So we talked about Kansas City barbecue and being in Missouri and Hannibal and Marceline.
Is the theme New York?
The theme is New York style pizza.
Yes.
Man, I really dropped the ball on my pick then.
So we decided, since we were road tripping all the way through the Midwest here through Missouri, we would have to listen to some things in the car on the road trip. So we chose to make our Rare Cuts Media Society Missouri playlist made up of, wonderful musical artists from the great state of Missouri here and the Show Me State. And we decided to show each other our favorite Missouri artists. See that? Show me your favorite Missouri artist. See what I did there?
Rob's completely lost.
And we introduced each other to these Missouri artists and subjected each other to them, maybe.
Wow.
We're gonna see how they stack up against each other and what were kind of maybe the best lengths of the road trip. So just like Rob said, when we're gonna score these up, we're gonna kind of go round robin, talk about what we liked and didn't like about them, and then we'll come back and give our scores. So starting us out first, I'm going to bring it back to Andrew with his Missouri road trip pick.
So I decided to go with a form of music that is pretty darn rare these days and went with ragtime music. And you can't really go ragtime without mentioning Scott Joplin, but I thought, well, Scott Joplin's a little too on the nose, so let's go with the second great. And we went with James Scott. And he was born in Neosho, Missouri in 1885. And he was known as the Little Professor. And he also died in Kansas City, Kansas, which we did visit briefly in 1938. In 1905, he journeyed to St. Louis to meet Scott Joplin, his hero. And Joplin listened to his music, talked with him, decided his music was fantastic, and talked to his publisher about it and Scott. So they actually published his big hit, Frog Legs Rag, and it ended up being second only in sales to Joplin's Maple Leaf Rag at the time. Scott moved to Kansas City, Missouri in 1914, but he was best known, as I said, for Frog Legs Rag. He had some other hits at the time, Climax Rag, Grace and Beauty, or the Ragtime Oriole. But, really ragtime, I like it. But at the same time, I have to say I was not feeling like it was the best pick ever. So actually, if I was scoring my own, I might not have put it at the top just because of one little thing I want to talk about, and that is repetition. Now, obviously, ragtime music, a lot of repetition. I mean, songs go for 3.5 minutes. And just like today with choruses, but there are no words. So you get a lot of the same notes over and over. So I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that with James Scott and how you enjoyed it.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed the James Scott. I think I mentioned while we were in the car listening to it, I felt like I was a kid on a carousel. And going around in a circle and a circle and a circle. I agree with you in the repetition piece, but thoroughly enjoyed the James Scott Rag.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
I will tell you where I'm going to agree with what you said and disagree with what you said based on two things. So the first thing is when you do listen to ragtime a lot in a row, a lot of the songs are called something rag or ragtime something. It's like worse than a ska band using ska in their name.
Yeah.
It's there all the time. Rag, rag, rag. It's like a box of rags. But when you listen to it all together, sure, it was a lot. It was a lot of ragtime, but we did make a shuffled playlist. And when one of the ragtime tunes would come on the shuffled playlist, it almost felt like kind of a nice little like relief from some of the other stuff, even the stuff I picked.
Kind of like an intermission at a theater.
But not even like a I'm gonna tune out thing. Like I felt like too it fit the it fit the vibe of where we were driving in rural Missouri pretty well. Like it kind of fit the road trip, especially when we were rolling through like a small town like Marceline, Missouri. Like you're in there, it kind of felt classic. It was the soundtrack of the place. So I think its strength is in the shuffle.
Yeah.
When we shuffled it up, those were some gems. To talk about, like Rob talking about the carousel, I got to bring Disney up again. It totally reminded me of hanging out on Main Street at Casey's Corner, listening to people playing the piano, enjoying a corn dog nuggets, and having that whole thing. So like it had a good kind of vibe going to it, especially for our like little Disney visit that we did. So I agree. It was maybe a lot in a row, but when we were on shuffle, it was perfect. It was perfect.
All right.
Now it's me.
Or is it?
I rather enjoyed it.
Rather enjoyed it. Huh?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I've listened to too much ragtime music. But I would say that my familiarity with it is more in how it played into silent films. So when I'm listening to James Scott in my head, like I can see pictures of old black and white comedies and that sort of thing. So I found it appealing. When we did listen to it all at once, it was a lot, but also at the same time, didn't really register too much that it's moved to a different song.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like a continuation. There's definitely different elements that are going on, but it could easily be confused for like a very long concept album, and it just flows, and the time does go by quickly because it's upbeat and it's moving and fluid. So yeah, no, I rather enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, like you guys said, when you listen to it for a long stretch in a row, that's when it starts to feel like, is it just one long song? But if you sit down and you have other things, you just play one or two, it feels a lot more manageable. It's still enjoyable either way, but yeah, it's definitely got that kind of underlying rhythm that doesn't really separate out each song very well.
Selection one.
So you get something to ruminate on, something to put our brains to the scoring and whatnot. Let's see. Should we do I'll take the next one. So I chose a Missourian. How do you say a Missourian? A Missourian?
We'll look that up later.
I'm going to say a Missourian. I chose a Missourian who's actually from St. Louis and lives on the border of the Mississippi River, right across from Illinois. And he lived because he got his start in St. Louis, but playing in clubs on both sides of the Mississippi. His name is Michael McDonald.
Missourian. He is a Missourian.
A Missourian? Missourian. So Michael McDonald, after like singing in clubs in St. Louis and East St. Louis, moved to the West Coast, joined a little band called Steely Dan, playing some keyboards, and then got asked to join the Doobie Brothers as their lead singer. He kind of Sammy Hagar'd onto the Doobie Brothers and became their second lead singer, but he totally revolutionized the band. I would say he's the godfather of yacht rock, because then into his solo career, he had so many big hits, Minute by Minute. I keep forgetting what's the name of that song. Oh yeah, it's called I Keep Forgetting. That was bad. That one was that Nate Dogg and Warren G sample song there we got. But Michael McDonald is that yacht rock godfather person. I love yacht rock. Now I'll tell you, I'm going to spin you my tale about yacht rock, because Michael McDonald's smooth tones and his funky grooves, and that light funky groove that he has, is what we often listen to in my family when we go on vacation. because we don't yacht. We don't have a yacht. But when you're in the Midwest and there's not, a whole bunch of big bodies of water, oceans and things we got the Great Lakes, but when you're driving, you kind of get that wave of the road and that corn is your ocean, and you kind of feel like your own yacht captain.
Cheesy corn?
Oh, the cheesy corn is good at the barbecue places like
Jack
that.
Stack.
But you get those cornfields and you're kind of cruising through them and you kind of feel like you're out in the Midwest ocean of corn. Just like being your own yacht captain. I could have just put on a captain's hat driving the car like I'm piloting my own yacht.
Don't do that.
And listen
That
to the
would not look right.
smooth tones of Michael McDonald. I love Michael McDonald. I want to hear what y'all think about Michael McDonald. Mike, let's start with you.
You share the same name.
You do.
Is this like Office Space and Michael Bolton?
Oh.
I will say,
Don't you?
My last name's not McDonald,
No,
so
No.
We can make that happen.
I'm gonna say that this is not my jam. Like,
Wow.
I mean, I would probably listen to the Doobie Brothers more than I would listen to solo Michael McDonald.
I love that because in my mind, the Doobie Brothers, once he joined, they were just solo Michael McDonald.
Well, I guess then I'm not as familiar with the Doobie Brothers either.
You listen to their earlier stuff when he wasn't in the band yet?
Probably.
There you go.
No, it's not my. It feels like it's in the same vein as a Michael Bolton. It's
Yes.
just.
Less heavy metal? Oh, wait. What am I saying?
I'm not into it. That's what I'm getting to. Musically, it's great. But I cannot stand his vocal stylings. And the lyrics are very
Listen, Mike.
repetitive.
I'm saying, listen.
Listen, that it wasn't his song originally, but Ain't No Mountain High Enough. We were listening to a Michael McDonald compilation, so it had some of his covers on it.
Yeah. I gotta go with Mike on this one. He started to say it, repetition, like I said with James Scott. I kind of got to a point where I said, wait, is this a different song? There are different words, but I don't know. But also most of his songs, it's so much repetition of the title. I just kind of zone out after a minute and a half.
But it's lovely. Rob, they're not helping me out here. Could you help me out here?
I'm helping you out because I think you were in the driver's side or passenger front. I was in the passenger rear, and I think we were the side of the car dancing, making the car move around.
No wonder we crashed 5 times.
Hope we got a good insurance. No, no crashes involved, but I was enjoying Michael McDonald. It was just basically like 93.9 on repeat, no commercials. It was great.
There's nothing wrong with light.
No,
It was an Entivio commercial come to life.
it was. I thoroughly enjoyed the Michael McDonald. Some other thoughts regarding the other two theme and the rarity part of it, but pure enjoyment, totally there.
It was Missouri. I had to do Michael McDonald because he's
Good pick.
he's Michael McDonald
Yeah.
of Missouri.
But half of the album, I was just picturing the two like old people from the commercial where they've got the tubs out on the lawn and they're clinking glasses together.
Shameful.
And why not? Why not?
Why not?
Michael McDonald. That's all you got for me on Michael McDonald. You guys got to listen to more. That's all I got to say. And Rob, you're good.
Don't look at me.
It's not going to happen.
Don't look
You
at
gotta
me.
listen to.
I'll be
You guys
putting
gotta
my
listen to more.
headphones on
It'll grow
tomorrow.
on you.
I'll be listening to Michael McDonald on my own.
He's got the most dynamics of anything we listen to. I'm going to say that. Sound dynamics, where the sound will get low and then it'll swell up, and you get some
On every single
on every
song.
on
In
every
the
song.
exact same
But-
way.
Not in the.
I'm gonna start
Subtle.
singing my song like this,
He's got some.
and then I'm going to like this.
He's got
Michael McDonald's in the room with us, people. Clap your hands.
He is Michael, right? He does have subtlety. Well, then let's go this way then. Michael, not McDonald. What do you got for us if Michael McDonald's not working for you?
Well, first off, I want to say the greatest thing that we discovered in this entire trip together is the late, great Julia Lee. She was a jazz singer
Prepare to cut this.
from Kansas City. And I just want to bring her up because none of us knew her.
It's true.
None of
That's
us.
true.
I mean, everyone, when they think jazz, they're thinking of like Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald. But little did we know that there was this gem of an innuendo jazz musician, singer, songwriter, Julia Lee. I think at some point it'd be a great story for us to cover.
If you win your, if you win the,
It will be the end
contest.
of Rare Cuts Media Society. We will have to change our name and go under a different platform because it'll be barred.
He's going to try to win this one. He's going to try to win this one and then make that just Julia Lee is the theme when he gets to pick it.
But
yeah, how are you going to win this one? Who'd you pick?
I don't believe I'll win anything here. But I picked someone who, as soon as we started discussing picking musician, singer, band, whatever from Missouri, my mind immediately goes to Tech Nine. And if you're not familiar, he is a rapper who is born and raised and is quintessential Kansas City chopper rap. And frankly, he is one of the hardest working rappers I know of. He's been in the business since around 99, and he has roughly 15 albums or so, both studio and collaboration albums he's done. And he's worked with just about everyone, all the big names, some people that would be really surprising. For instance, he's worked with Kendrick Lamar, he's worked with Eminem, he's worked with Lil Wayne, he's worked with Corey Taylor from Slipknot, he's worked with Serge from System of a Down. He does not conform to any one genre.
You forgot one big collaborator, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, that's right. And that's one of his biggest songs, like in terms of listen on Spotify. So he gets around. He's busy, and seems like he's always on tour. And what I really appreciate, in addition to his ability to work and genre bend, is something that I've been trying to get across to a lot of people. And growing up, I was in a household where basically I was told that, oh, rap is garbage, don't listen to rap. And I met a lot of people growing up too who were not interested in rap. And as I got older, I started to look into rap music more and more. And what I was finding is a lot of similarities between rap and folk music in terms of telling a story, telling history, things that have happened. And I find that very interesting. In Tech Nine, he has a lot of material like that, where he kind of has put some of his pain and suffering from losses like his mother into his music, and it's really powerful. And I can really appreciate him sharing this with the world, and it's got to be a form of therapy as well. And I just really appreciate him as an artist. I don't know what you guys think. I'm pretty sure two of you weren't familiar with them. Thoughts?
So I was the one who was familiar with them.
There you go.
That way.
There you go.
And I think Mike is going for, like, you know how like on the Olympics they give us that human interest story so that we can like the Olympians even more. He's like telling us the story about Tech Nine so that you're like
Growing up in rural Kansas
Right?
City.
But Tech Nine. So I enjoy Tech Nine. I'm gonna give you the thing where this is the thing. Tech Nine for me is more like I'm going for a run. I'll listen to some Tech Nine where I'm like high energy. In the car, I mean, I picked Michael McDonald. I need something toned down a little. He's intense. He's intense. So because he comes at you fast. And so it was one of those things where I do think it helped, just like I'm gonna say, I was on to say Scott Joplin, but it's not. It's like,
James Scott.
like James Scott. It helped like James Scott when we did have it on the mix, because we kind of got that, like, here's a you know,
Get that breather.
that shuffle. You get a breather, because it is intense. And where I was going with Michael McDonald before, with the dynamics of the song, you got quiet points, you got loud points, but Tech Nine is like coming at you. And there are some parts where it drops out and whatnot, but it comes at you.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's a lot of Tech Nine, I think it was coming at me too much. But I do enjoy Tech Nine. I do want to say that I do enjoy some Tech Nine. And I liked it on the playlist setting where we're like, me personally, I could have just listened to Michael McDonald for all the hours that we were in the car. When listening to, you know, some some other thing, I wanted to, you know, I like the mix, the mashup, and I think that was a benefit to like both of those artists. You know,
I was one of the two, likely, who never heard of Tech Nine prior to Mike bringing it for this podcast episode. First, I did not listen to before. It was fresh in the car. I will preface this with, I am the fan of rap that Mike Birbiglia is, of rap, rippity rap-tastic. So it's just not kind of my jam, much of rap from anything. Maybe some old 80s rap like that. But yeah, it's just not my jam. But I did enjoy hearing the collaborations, like where I mentioned Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Was the guy from System of a Down?
Yeah, Serge.
Those were, I thought that was really kept me interested.
Yeah.
I think from song to song, it was kind of like, wait, what am I hearing? So it kind of like grabbed me in a little bit more. So that piece of it I enjoyed, and hearing it for the first time, it was good. But again, it's just kind of like, I can appreciate like classical music, but it's just not my jam.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I could appreciate the music and the talent, but it's just not my cup of tea, if you will.
Yeah, I have the same thing. Rap is not my cup of tea.
Michael McDonald?
No. Now, if you could take a little bit of Tech Nine's energy and infuse it into Michael McDonald, it might keep me awake.
You know who that is?
Who is that?
Ray Parker Jr.
Oh, there you go.
oh no, not Ray Parker.
You just had to mention her and him, didn't you? No, I can appreciate the amount of work, especially when they're, you know, like Eminem and him are going super fast and you can barely hear what they're saying.
And to
I
be
can
fair,
understand.
that is their style, chopping, and it is a Midwestern theme form of rapping.
Yeah, and I can totally appreciate the work and the talent that goes into that. But at the same time, if I can't understand what they're saying, I just kind of zone out a little bit. So I loved hearing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and all of his, you know, done in one take stuff. I can really appreciate that too. But yeah, just not my cup of tea.
I think that's, going back to what Eric said, is 100% accurate in terms of Tech Nine is awesome for a workout.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and that is really how Rock started getting tied to Tech Nine, because he was working out to Tech Nine's music, and Tech was like, let's do something together. So,
Yeah. Now, I wonder, though, because we talked Tech Nine, we talked Michael McDonald, we talked about James Scott, and we're kind of talking about needing something kind of in the middle, like a Goldilocks and the Three Bears situation. And Rob even brought us something very different than the three things we just talked about.
and I'm not going to beat around the bush. It's hands down the favorite I had. So,
What do you want to tell us about what you picked?
So
Is it the Goldilocks and the Three Bears situation?
It could be. I picked Dan P. and the Bricks, the album "Watch Where You Walk." Dan P and the Bricks is a two-tone ska band. The album was released in 2011. Dan Podhast, Dan P, is the lead singer. It's kind of up in the air if MU330 is still a band. He was the lead singer, guitarist of MU330. MU330 has been in and out of playing shows. Dan Podhast lives on the West Coast now, but he is from St. Louis. He moved out to California and he made a lot of solo albums, toured solo a lot. And I think he probably really wanted to get in back with a band dynamic. So he was able to get together with the band or number of members of the band Slow Gherkin, that it's a California ska powerhouse that broke up the late 2000s, and got together with him and started recording two-tone ska. No ska punk, no real hard rock, but it keeps the music moving. Some of the aspects of that's a little different than a lot of the MU330 stuff is it's got a lot more deeper sounds. And I was looking into it. It's really a lot of the alto sax that the members of Slow Gherkin played. It brings a big dynamic, I think, to the band, and to the songs that Dan Podhast writes. I think that it brings a real different dynamic, and even some interviews Dan had, I believe it was with Alternative Press. He made a comment of there were songs that he wrote for MU330 and they practiced them. They tried to get them to work. They didn't. He basically put them on the shelf, brought them back with this band, and it was like they clicked almost immediately. And it was like, how could it not work at all with a band he's been with for 30 years? You can't get it to work. And then you go with a band that you've played with maybe a couple months, and all of a sudden it's like that. It clicks. So I think it really goes to if you bring another set of musicians in, maybe a little bit of different dynamic and experience or just talent or vibe of how they play, and it just makes a huge difference. As I said, album is big two-tone ska. It could be the Goldilocks of the trip. I don't know, Eric.
That's what I was moving towards. So I was you kind of I'm not gonna lie, you kind of picked this one late in the game, and maybe you were playing the game that way. You were waiting to see what everyone else was getting. But I will say, Dan Podcast, I knew him from MU330. We had gone to see MU330 like concerts in years past. You had picked the Jeff Rosenstock album way back at the beginning of our podcast, and he was a performer on that album. And those are very MU330 and that Rosenstock album are very punk rocky inspired. Even when they are ska, they're very punk rock ska. And I was expecting more of that when you put this on. So it was kind of like a pleasant surprise, because if I had Tech 9 coming at me hard, and I had then like MU330 coming at me hard, that'd be a lot of coming at me hard. But
that's what Julia Lee said.
Yes, that sounded like a Julia Lee innuendo song title. But anyways, if you know what I mean, like that's some intense rock and hip hop coming from different directions. But this reminded me of a sound in a band I've been chasing for years that hasn't been around in a while, and that's Corey Dixon and the Zvooks. And I was a big fan of them, and they kind of had that rock steady two-tone kind of vibe, like that classic, like almost a first wave ska 60s kind of like chilling at a jazz club ska kind of feel. And they kind of brought that in the Bricks. And I kind of enjoyed hearing this album, and it was not what I was fully expecting. It wasn't what I was fully expecting as far as what he would bring to the table, knowing him from the other stuff. But I like it. It's almost like it's that thing that artists sometimes get in trouble for. There was like a slight mellowing out of his sound. Artists are always like, oh, we talked about Van Halen the other day about how like the maturing of Van Halen and the way their sound changed over the years, or different bands like that. They kind of change over the years. The Goo Goo Dolls is a good example. They started as a punk rock band and became an acoustic rock band. But like the way he did it, I think is perfect. At least for me, because I'm getting old and mellowing out too.
Mm.
So I'm gonna throw it out there. So I enjoyed it a lot.
I mean, I can definitely get some of those vibes from like similarities to Jeff Rosenstock, but definitely more mellow, like you're saying. I'm still going to prefer a Jeff Rosenstock and MU330, but I really enjoy this. And you know what? If it were in like a shuffle or a mix, I think it would work great because again, you're going to have those really high, fast pace, intense songs, but balanced out by more of the mellow, still ska. And yeah, no, I rather enjoyed it. I mean, as soon as you said you were picking ska, I'm like, I'm gonna love it. So
Yeah. Out of our 4 picks, this was the one that like Mike said, it won for me because it was the one out of the 4 where I sat down and I didn't feel like I needed to break from it. I felt like I could have just like we did listen to the whole thing through. I didn't feel like, okay, is there a new song or are we done yet or what? No, I was able to just enjoy it. And it was that ska feeling, you know?
Smooth, baby.
Smooth, baby. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the winner for me. Look at this guy.
All right. Anyone else have anything else they want to say about their picks?
Playing the game.
Rob playing the game, picking his late in the game. He was like, let me see what everyone else is going to pick. No, I know. I'm just, he had like 4 things in his mind and he was like, let's see how I'm going to play. No, but that was a good pick. So we're going to have to tell our scores and we're going to have to tally these suckers up. So we'll kind of go maybe by the artist in the pick and go around and kind of get a final tally of all of our scores. So I'm going to get mine all tallied up real quick right here. And then do we have a supreme tally sheet? All right.
Take care of that.
You got to take care of that. So we're going to start. Shall we go in the order that we presented in? So we'll tell what we gave for James Scott, which was Andrew's pick first. I can start with mine if you get ready for him. So for James Scott, I did give the rarity. I gave a 5 because I didn't even know who James Scott was, and it was pretty rare. Like you said, people don't listen to ragtime this at this point. As far as enjoyment, I wrestled with this one. I'm not gonna lie, because I did enjoy it on its own, but all together, I didn't. So I did bump it a few points, and I gave it a 3 on that enjoyment for when we listen to it all together. And then as far as theme, I gave it a 5 because we hit a lot of history, especially in Kansas City where he's from, and it kind of helped be the soundtrack of that theme of the Missouri road trip. So altogether from me, that was a 13.
I had the exact same scoring as you did for all of the exact same reason. 5, 3, 5.
What he said.
Ditto.
All right. So there you go. So 2 13s and we set it up. So Mike.
Okay. So for rarity, I give 5. Same reason as you. I had never heard of him. Enjoyment, I gave it a 4. I rather enjoyed it. And I could see myself putting this on while I'm working. It's not distracting, but it's upbeat, good tempo. Theming, I give it a 4, so 13.
13s across the board.
Hey, just like Taylor Swift.
Oh, but I just want to say for the theming, the only reason I docked it that one point was because yes, he's from Missouri, but I feel like the style of the music, I always associate it more with like vaudeville and things like that. So that was the only reason.
All right. So come at me now. The next one would be
Tech
Michael McDonald.
No, wait a minute.
I went second.
See, I can't even remember.
You can't even remember.
Too
So
much-
Michael McDonald, come at me with your perfect scores. All of your no, I know they're not going to be.
All right. I'll go first because I was the
You'll
super
be the
fan.
generous one.
It's all downhill after Rob. Is that what you're telling me?
So, well, all right. Let's I'll be real. Rarity, I gave it a 1
That's legit. Yeah.
because everybody knows Michael McDonald. You might not like him, you might love him, but you know who he is, either one way or the other. So a 1. Enjoyment, I don't even need to say it. You know the number. Theme, it's a 5. For theme, I gave it a 3. And I kind of balanced it because I was like, it's in the Midwest. You kind of sold me this driving through. So you kind of sold me. I don't know. I was originally at like a 2-ish, but you talked me. You're playing the game.
My SUV yacht story.
Yeah, you're playing the game here. So you're getting a 9 from Rob L here.
Fair. Then that's going to be the best score I get.
I also gave it a 9.
Hey.
It broke down a little differently. I gave it a 2 on Rarity. I gave it a little extra because, I mean, yeah, we all know Michael McDonald, but do we all pay attention to the history of Michael McDonald?
Yes.
No.
Brilliant.
Enjoyment, I went middle of the road. I said a 3 because I knew a lot of the songs, but again, it just kind of dragged me down. Theme, I gave it a 4 because, you know, like you said, that Midwestern corn yacht feeling. so that ended up being a 9 from me too.
Okay.
Go.
So y'all keep saying everyone knows Michael McDonald. I did not know
You
him
living under a rock?
by his name.
Oh, you knew his music. His music precedes him.
I did not know any of his solo music.
Oh, okay. But his Doobie Brothers.
Doobie Brothers I'm familiar with, and some of the Doobie Brothers we listen to, I know, but I would not know that it was Michael McDonald. Because to me, Michael McDonald is a comedian actor that was on or Mad TV in the 90s.
Yep.
That's my Michael McDonald.
So you were expecting something very different when I was like, "We're gonna."
I don't want to.
And you were like, "Oh, nice. Oh, wait, what's this?"
Let me do it.
So Rarity, I gave it a 2, mostly because just the fact that it's tied to the Doobie Brothers. That's a very well-known name. Enjoyment, I gave it a 2.
Oof.
I didn't give it a 1 because, again, musically, I think it's great. Just stop singing.
What?
His voice is that's some of the best.
I prefer singers more like Tom Jones and
It's that leathery skin.
yeah.
Wayne Newton.
Leathery skin.
Vegas
Botox
and stuff like that.
And for theme, I gave it a 3. I mean, it's Midwestern, but also can feel a bit generic too.
Poor Michael McDonald.
Yeah, so 7.
A 7.
Oof.
So yeah, definitely.
Now come at me.
The next one is
Come
Tech
at me.
9.
Tech
Eric,
9.
Should we go? Let's go backwards. Let's do Jagoda first.
All right, Tech 9, Rarity. I'm going to give it a 4 because I actually had heard the name a few times, but I didn't know anything about him. So I'm going to give that a 4. Enjoyment, like I said, it's not my thing. I went with a 1. I mean, yeah, I don't need to explain more.
There will be more rap in the future.
Theme, I went 3 because honestly, if I'd just heard him, I wouldn't have thought Missouri at all.
Okay. There is a song where he literally is saying,
Selling it.
I'm still selling it. He's literally singing, "Can I save Kansas City?"
And I didn't pay attention by that point.
He was trying to keep up with the speed of the vocals.
I'm sitting there going, what?
Oh, see, now I'm upset because I spared you guys from his Kansas City Chiefs song. I should have.
Extra point.
He wanted that.
I wanted that point.
So that would be a total of 8.
That's an 8 from Jagoda. All right, I'm gonna go next. Tech 9. Rarity. I never heard of Tech 9 before, so I'm gonna update my score. I'm gonna give it a 4 for Rarity because I never heard it.
You got a point there.
You got a point.
There you go.
Enjoyment. I said enough. Just not my cup of tea. appreciate the music. I enjoyed the rock. I enjoyed the collaborations. I gave it a 2. Theme, you sold me again. Mike, are you in the wrong industry, man? You got to be in the sales industry. I upped it to a 4 because I didn't know. You said it was chop rap?
It's chopping. Yeah.
Chopping. Never knew of it. So
Yeah.
theme, I gave it a 4. So you got a total of 10 for me.
Yeah.
You also get a 10 from me, but for different reasons. So for the rarity, I gave it a 3 because even if I know he's pretty rare, like he's not the most famous out there, he is pretty well known, and the people he associates with
Oh yeah.
on that record are super well known. So a couple of points off for that to get the 3. For what I was enjoying about it, I gave it a 4. I took the 1 off because, like I said, I enjoyed it more when it was in the playlist, in the mix.
Right.
And then the as far as the theme, I gave it a 4 because it gave me the, like I said earlier, it gave me the Kansas City, it gave me the Missouri, but it didn't give me the road trip because it's not necessarily the thing I would pick for my road trip, like the soothing tones.
A 10 from Eric.
Yeah, so that's a 10.
A 10.
Next up.
Next up, Dan P and the Bricks. Watch where you walk.
And I'm just gonna go first because I already made it well known. You got a 15 for me, brother.
Oh,
Score.
Ooh.
A perfect
score.
Whoa. Man, look at that.
15, brother.
I'm not going to be one to give perfect scores, but it
Yeah.
got pretty darn close. For rarity, I did give it a 5 because even though I knew MU330, I didn't know Dan P and the Bricks. It's been a while since I listened to some, I'm not even gonna call it new ska music because it ain't even new anymore.
13 years old.
But it had been a while. So it was something new to me, and I know most people wouldn't know. Heck, when I looked it up on AllMusic, it didn't even have a track listing. That's pretty rare. We had for enjoyment, I really enjoyed it, so I also gave that a 5. And as far as theme, I did give it a 4. The reason I gave it a 4 on the theme,
Know why? Know where you're going.
I was gonna say it didn't. It also, I'm gonna go with my road trip vibes. Like it fit Missouri. Like a lot of you, I scored you all high on theme because all of the artists were from Missouri, and the theme was Missouri road trip. So I was like, Missouri is a big part of it. So then we wanted artists from Missouri, so I'm gonna go high on that. But on the road trippy part, well, that's true. Not the whole band is from
only
Missouri.
one.
It's only the one guy. But yeah. We'll go with that. That works because I was gonna say too. It had a vibe that made me more so wanna be like sitting at a nice little club, enjoying a beverage of some kind, coffee, adult beverage, what have you, and just listening to this amazing ska band play. Like, you know what I mean? I wanted to kind of be in that zone. With
You
this
could have
one.
also been on the street because they are
On the
known for doing street shows.
What about a street cafe? Like I'm sitting at a little
Do a
cafe
street-
having my
the-
coffee outside,
you
and
go.
they just come up and start. Yeah. Like in Austin Powers when Burt Bacharach and Elvis Costello are playing right there on the street. Just like that.
That would have been a good pick.
So-
Bacharach and Elvis.
It would have scored very poorly on theme and rarity.
All right, Jagoda.
All right. Well, I gave it a 5 on rarity because, like Eric said, I'd never heard of him at all. Enjoyment, I gave it a 4 because it was really good, but it wasn't, like my top tier kind of listen. Theme, I also gave it a 4 just because of that, like I said, with Tech 9, I didn't get that Missouri feel to it. But I did love it. So you got a 13 from me. So that's still good.
He's the winner.
I think so.
We don't even need a calculator.
I'm pretty sure.
Give us. We want to hear the final score.
I'm last place.
I want to hear the final scores. I don't know. You guys kind of ran Michael McDonald through the ringer.
Isn't that the name of one of his songs?
Through the ringer?
Through the Ringer. It
You
sounds
didn't
like
say
something
that
he
many
would sing.
times.
Let me through.
Oh, come on. All right, Rob's got
All right, we're gonna start from the smallest score. Mike, my deepest apologies to you and Tech 9.
I am
It
going
was-
to make you listen to Red Kingdom.
You got to win and then make that the theme. Albums about sports teams.
Or just single songs. It'll be a Minnesota.
Oh no, excuse me. No, I take that back. The lowest score. My apologies to Eric,
Michael McDonald.
Mr. Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
What was I like
25.
1 point better.
You got a 25. Don't jump the gun here, my friend. We're got to
Okay.
roll. Tech 9 was in third place, a 28. So a handful of points above the beloved Michael McDonald.
Beloved, yes.
Second place, James Scott, a 39.
Very nice.
Very,
Great score.
very nice.
Dan P and the Bricks, a 42.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's solid.
It was a solid score. I'm glad he enjoyed it.
Congrats.
Do I get a silver medal?
Yeah.
Sure.
It doesn't win you anything. You should get it. It's actually just one of those like yogurt lids like they did in The Office. No.
I'll make sure it's not one of them plastic white lids. Then you get nothing.
Yeah. That's how you get silver. So Rob, you win the prize, which is you're going to get to pick. So we already have our theme figured out for the next round, which is we're getting into the holiday season. So we're going to have to get into our holiday picks coming up. But you get to pick the theme that starts off our new year next year, basically. So you'll have to start thinking about the theme and then get back to us on
We will.
what it
I will
is.
get back to you shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So like I said, we are going to start talking about our next theme, which is going to be the holiday season, because the next time you hear us, it'll be October, and there's a big holiday at the end of October, and then it's going to be
May Day?
November, and there's a big holiday that's later. There's a big holiday at the end of November, and
Can we watch The Wicker Man?
December. Is that a May Day movie?
It is.
Oh God! I hope no one picks holidays for the May theme.
Better hope I don't.
Watch that Wicker Man.
Lesser known
Oh,
holiday movie.
God. And then we got December and January in this theme. So there's a lot of holidays into the new year in this next theme arc. So we're gonna have to get you all set up for the holiday season, and then you'll have to catch us next time on the Rare Cuts Media Society. Visit us online at rarecutsmediasociety.com. There you can find old episodes, subscribe, or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for listening.